Good evening. Welcome to Know Your Bible. I am your host, Billionaire Nderito. I'm joined in studio by
Geoffrey. Yes, you're here.
As we look at the Bible, today we look at a very interesting character, Isaac. Isaac is one of the three patriarchs of the Israelites, and is an important figure in the Abrahamic religion. Abraham is the first to appear in the Torah, in which he is the son of Abraham and Sarah. He is the father of Jacob and Esau, and the grandfather of the 12 tribes of Israel. Isaac means he will laugh, reflecting on the laughter in disbelief of Abraham and Sarah when they are told by God that they will have a child. He is the only patriarch whose name is not changed, and the only one who did not move out of Canaan. According to the narrative, he died at an old age of 180 years, and he is the longest living of the three patriarchs.
Wow.
His birth is first announced way before, after Abraham and Sarah had been promised that they would have a son, whereby they got the new covenant, and the name of Abraham was changed from Abram to Abraham, and Sarai to Sarah.
Wow.
And at this point, they were promised that they would have a son, and this son is Isaac.
Wow.
But this son was also promised a second time, whereby three angels came down, and they were going to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham stopped them. He asked them that he would give them some food, and they accepted. And at this point, we saw that the angel of the Lord promised that Sarah would have a child. And at this time, we see Sarah laughing, because she said that at this old age, I'm going to become a mother.
Oh, actually, he meant that she even had no pleasure in it.
Yes, she was old.
Wow,
she was old at this age. She was past the natural childbearing age. And the Lord asks Abraham, is it that I cannot do this?
Is it not within my power for me to do these things?
Is it not within my power? Yes. And here we see Sarah saying that she did not laugh. But the Lord says, you did laugh.
Wow.
You did laugh. And this is the promise that was made by God to Abraham and to Sarah, that they would have a child, and this child is now Isaac.
Wow. So we can see that when this child is being promised, Sarah, the amazing thing about Sarah is that she even didn't have pleasure in this. So she's like laughing, me at my old age now having a child, and she's wondering how can that really happen? And when he says, then, well, if God is within his power to do all those things, then I believe God is possible. So we can see that as time passed by, you can see that when time came, then Isaac now begat this child, and this child was named that now Isaac, because she laughed when she had that. I believe that is something.
Yes, this is the naming of Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac actually got this name because of that laughter, because of the old age that Sarah was to get the child. And after the son is born, after 8 days, after the birth of Isaac, he is circumcised. And it was necessary for all males in the Abraham's household to be circumcised in accordance with the Jewish covenant. Yes, we had seen this covenant back when Ishmael was 13 years old. Yes, when Ishmael was 13 years old, God told Abraham to be circumcised and to circumcise all the people in his household. And this is where we see Isaac now being circumcised at 8 days old.
Wow,
Because
wow,
Isaac
wow.
comes after the covenant had already been established.
Wow, wow.
Yes.
That's very amazing. We can see that God wanted them to have a unique thing that is bringing them, binding them together through that circumcision. And now another thing you can see is this son we call Ishmael. You remember the son whom Sarah gave the servant to Abraham,
Haggai.
the Haggai.
Yes.
And now we can see that this son is starting to mock Isaac, and he's telling Isaac some kind of things. But then we see Sarah telling Abraham to cast away Ishmael, because Sarah wanted Isaac to be the sole heir of the blessing, or the sole heir of the property. So we can see this son Ishmael having been cast away, so that Isaac may get whatever maybe was promised for him to get.
Yes, and this is something that is very peculiar, considering that it was Sarah's idea to give Hagar, her servant, to Abraham,
Wow,
so
wow.
that he would get a child.
So now
And then we
after-
see later on, Sarah is the one who is asking that this woman
cast
and
away this
her
woman away
child.
from my presence. Wow,
Yes,
wow, wow.
and this shows an enmity between the two women.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, and also considering that Abraham was a very, very wealthy man.
Very true.
This can be seen whereby they were separating with the Lot, and the land could not hold
hold them.
both of them.
Wow,
Meaning,
wow.
Abraham was a very wealthy man.
Extremely rich man.
Yes. So Sarah saying that Isaac should be the only heir of Abraham. Well, this shows that Sarah did not actually like to share his
Sons.
belongings. Yes, but considering that Abraham was a very generous man, whereby Abraham was getting visitors, and he slaughters an animal for these visitors. You see,
Very
when the
fast.
three angels came, they were visitors. They were just men.
Just visiting. Just
Yes, it is not
actually
told.
passing nearby.
Yes, it is not told whether Abraham could actually recognize them as angels. So Abraham calling them and asking them to come to his house shows Abraham was a generous man.
Wow.
He was a very generous man.
It was not the point of, I know these men, like he didn't even know them.
Yes.
But that generosity shows that, wow.
And this shows Sarah saying that all this should be to the heir, who is Isaac.
Isaac,
It shows that she did not want to share, even though they were greatly blessed,
Wow.
because they had so much wealth between them.
Yeah, very rich actually.
Yes.
Wow.
And at this point, we can see Isaac now going to be sacrificed.
Oh, yeah.
And now,
yeah.
God meets Abraham, and he tells Abraham, I want us to make a new covenant. Okay?
I really wonder the nature of God, because this man having spent a lot of years having no child, bearing no child, and then you can see now God is telling this man, you see the son that I've given you? Now he's being put to test to sacrifice it. Well, I mean.
And here we see God takes Abraham and he tells him, sacrifice your only son. And this maybe is a reference to Jesus, considering that Abraham had another son who is Ishmael. And the Bible clearly refers to Isaac as the only son. This can be shown to show that the Lord was referring to his story, the story of God, whereby God is also sacrificing his only begotten son,
Who's
Jesus
Christ. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And here we can see Abraham taking Isaac, and they go to Mount Moriah, and at this point, Isaac is asked to carry the firewood.
The same case Jesus
Yes.
was told to carry the
Jesus
cross.
is also told to carry the cross. Yes. And here they are going for the sacrifice. And Isaac is asking Abraham, where is the lamb? Where is the lamb? You know, Isaac is a wise man. He's looking at it.
Like, my father, I've been carrying all these things for a long time, but I'm not seeing what you're going to sacrifice there.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Isaac was wise at this age. And they go all the way to the mountain, the Mount Moriah. And here Abraham sets up an altar. And then he binds Isaac. And the same binding can be seen whereby Jesus is being binded to the cross.
Wow.
Because this story, the story of Abraham going to sacrifice Isaac, is also symbolized to show the story of God going to sacrifice
His only
Jesus
begotten Son.
for our sins.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And here we see Isaac is now bound, and Abraham takes up his knife, and he wants to cut up the boy.
Before that,
yes, the angel of the Lord shouts from heaven, and he says, "Let the boy go." There is a lamb that has been caught by the thickets, by its horns. Sacrifice that lamb. And this brings a very funny story whereby when Abraham and Isaac are going home and they are talking, what was Isaac actually asking?
I want to be the conversation like that. He really wanted just to slaughter me alive, like.
And the only place Isaac could run to was to God, but God had instructed Abraham to do this. So, what kind of conversation did they have?
My father, you really wanted me to, but I think it must be God's intervention, because my father trying to kill me, and then he tells me, I think it must have had something to do with God.
Yes, and we are not told about Sarah's reaction to this story.
Wow.
We are not told whether Isaac told Sarah or she hid this in his heart, whether he told Sarah the story. And we are also not told what Sarah's reaction was that Abraham wanted to sacrifice his son. See, this son is not just Abraham's son. He is also Sarah's son.
At her old age.
Yes.
And it means it's a precious gift to Sarah,
Yes.
The only child to Sarah.
This
joy
is the
to
only
Sarah.
son to Sarah.
Wow.
But it is not the only son to Abraham. Abraham has another son, he has Ishmael.
Yes, other son.
Yeah, but Sarah has no other son.
It is only this one son.
We are not told what her reaction was. We are not told whether she was actually told the story. But if she was told that story, I don't think it would have been nice.
Well, there would be a bomb there, because wow. But anyway, out of that we can see that after they are now coming back, they see now Abraham commanding his servant, now my child has grown, I have a lot of things, and now my child now, he must get a wife. And now we can see that Sarah and even Abraham, they did not want this child to get a wife from the Canaanites.
Yes.
And they sent now their son Isaac, that he may go and they sent the servant to go to the land of their king, and they may get a wife for her. And then we can see now the servant is even praying, and Abraham is telling the servant that when you go there, then God will be with you. And he asked, they even actually took an oath, and they said that when I go there, the woman that I will find, God may be with you, and he will give you the wife who you will come to give to my son. You remember when Rebekah was coming carrying a jar?
Yes.
And then you can see the man is borrowing the water, and he's telling God, Father, whoever I will borrow water, and he will give me and say, I also have some to give to your animals. That is the woman I'm going to get. It's such a beautiful thing that I wouldn't like to call it a coincidence. Let me call it God's will.
Yeah, but it also talks about the tradition of the Jews. When we see Jesus at the well, and the Samaritan woman comes, and Jesus asks the Samaritan woman, fetch some water for me. The first reasoning of the woman is, you are a Jew.
Who are you?
I am a Samaritan. Okay, why are you asking water from me? And this is a tradition, where we see, in order to get a good wife, the Jews could ask the lady to fetch them water, and they could see whether this wife is able to do this chores. When we look at our society, In my community, we look at a wife who is able to cook.
Wow.
And they say, if a wife is able to do the household chores, wash the clothes, iron the clothes,
Cook for the man.
yes, take care of the children, this is what we call a wife material.
Hey.
So at this time,
Wow.
the Abraham's servant is looking for wife material.
A wife material.
A wife for his master's son,
Wow.
Isaac. But we also see the intervention of the Lord, whereby he's praying. He's praying that the Lord is going to give a wife. See, and this shows us in our marriage today that one should actually pray.
Sure.
In order to get the kind of partner someone is looking for. So this is the prayer.
Praise them.
Yes. And then Rebekah, after she has watered the camels,
God sent prayer.
she runs home and she tells Laban this story. And Laban comes and he's very happy about this whole coincidence. Yes, he sees that his own kin has come to marry her daughter.
Wow.
Yes, and here we can see that he was happy that the daughter is going to a good family, a family that he knows.
It's not a foreign kind of family.
Yes,
it's a family they know from their kin family.
Yes,
wow.
A family whose traditions are closer to
theirs.
Yes.
Wow.
This Rebekah. Yes, but then they call Rebekah and they ask Rebekah, will you go with this man?
Wow, nice.
Will you go with this man? So Rebekah's input was asked. They did not just impose the idea on Rebekah.
It's not forcing you. You have to go. You must go.
Yes.
I think there is also the right of decision making.
Yes.
Even if you have to do something, maybe not even marriage, even in life sometimes.
Yes.
There is that aspect of being given the right to make your own decision.
Yeah.
Because when Rebekah, for instance, Rebekah was forced to go, it wouldn't have been very, very well.
Well,
but right now we see that she was even happy, said, yes, I will go.
But this also brings the aspect of arranged marriages, whereby Isaac did not go with the servant of Abraham to look for the wife. Isaac is at home. Isaac is at home, but the servant is going to Abraham's home to get a wife.
He was
We are not actually told what Isaac was doing back home. But he was anxious. He was anxious because we see when they come back, Isaac is meditating, and wherever he's meditating, he sees the camels.
Wow!
And he runs. And Rebekah asks, "Who is that man running towards us?" And the servant, Abraham's servant, says, "That is my master's son. That is Isaac."
Wow!
Yes, and she's actually very happy. They embrace and they are This shows arranged marriages. Yes,
something planned.
Yes,
very sweet thing, arranged in order, in line with the will of God.
Yeah, but it depends on the tradition. You know, this is the Jewish tradition. This is the Jewish tradition. Everyone should follow from their own lineage.
Exactly.
In case your family,
you should follow your own tradition. The way you follow. If you take women, if you send your parents to get for you women, if it is you who go, then it is well and good. We follow what your traditions are.
And here we see a very interesting phenomenon. Okay, that Isaac was willing to go through an arranged marriage so that Abraham would be happy.
Wow!
And the reason that Isaac is marrying a wife of his own kin is because of Abraham's happiness. Because I tend to imagine that Isaac must have seen other girls in the land where they were living.
Very true, very
true.
Very true.
But this can also be seen later on, whereby Isaac had two sons.
Mm-hmm.
He has Jacob,
Jacob and Esau.
and he has Esau. But Esau takes a wife who is a Canaanite.
Okay. Not from whatever.
Yes. And these wives, they bring a lot of trouble to Isaac and Rebekah. And Jacob is actually told, do not marry a Canaanite woman.
Traditions again.
So this can be seen as to why Isaac is marrying Rebekah.
Okay.
To prevent all these problems with their
Problems. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's very amazing.
So at this time we can say that Sarah died. And Isaac had two children. He had Jacob and Esau.
Wow,
yes.
Wow,
and Esau was hairy.
The red boy.
Yes. And he was the first
to come out.
But then Jacob was holding his heel. And this is where Jacob gets his name. He was holding the heel
of his brother Esau.
Yes. But these two were nations, and they used to fight way before they were born.
Nice. In the womb, they justed each other.
Yes.
Wow.
And Isaac actually asked the Lord, what is going on here?
What is happening?
And he's told, those are two nations
that are fighting.
And the lesser will, the greater will serve the lesser.
Yeah.
So Jacob was to be served by Esau. Yes.
Okay.
And this is something that is very peculiar. That this was said way before they were born. So was there actually free will?
Okay.
Was there actually free will? Was there a point whereby maybe Esau could overpower Isaac?
It already was said when they were in the womb. It's like a prophecy.
It's a prophecy.
That has to be accomplished, has to be fulfilled, whether they like it or even not.
And this brings about the issue of free will. Did the boys have free will? But then we have the blessing of Jacob and Esau, whereby Esau is told, you will serve Jacob, and you will fight by the sword. But when you grow restless, you will overpower this yoke. Meaning, Jacob and Esau was given a power to overcome this curse that had been placed earlier on.
It means he would no longer live and now serving.
Yes,
he reached a time to become restless and now take everything and follow his own ways now.
Yes.
Wow.
And here we can see Isaac going to Philistine, the land of Philistine. He meets King Abimelech, and at first he tells Rebekah, do not tell these people that you're my wife. Tell them you're my sister.
I know. He feared to be slaughtered. I think Rebekah must be very beautiful.
Rebekah was a beautiful woman.
Very, very beautiful.
Yes. And then we can see that it brings something about the people's culture. The same thing had happened to Abraham, whereby Abraham was worried that how his wife Sarah could be taken and he would be killed. And this is the same worry that is facing
Isaac now.
Isaac. And he says that my wife will be taken and I'm going to be killed. This shows something about the society at that time, that they could fight and take over the wife. That a man could be killed.
And take the wife of the man.
Yes, because there must have been a foundation to this worry. You see, you cannot just worry about maybe when you see clouds, you say it's gonna rain, I will carry an umbrella. So why are you carrying the umbrella?
Because you're worried it may rain.
It may rain. Yes. But if there are no clouds, why would you carry the umbrella?
You have no essence.
When you see Isaac being worried, this situation must have happened maybe a few times before to other people, and Isaac will have heard of these stories.
So he's worried to say, no, I leave my beautiful wife, maybe being killed. Wow.
And there now they are living in the land of the Philistines. And after he takes the wife, Abimelech looks from his palace
Nice.
and he sees Isaac caressing Rebekah. These people, they lied to him.
Man, what are you saying?
Yes.
Like you lied
And he
to
calls
me.
them. He calls them and he tells them, do you imagine what would have happened if another man could have taken your wife Rebekah?
Wow.
You would have brought a curse upon us. But the reasoning of Isaac was that the other people were not righteous. That nation did not fear God.
Though Abimelech, we can see that he was a king who maybe feared God.
Yes, the king feared God and the people feared God. So this comes back to our society, whereby some people think that maybe the other people do not know God. But then those people actually know God and they fear God.
Oh, judging others, what you
Yes,
say?
people who
I
judge
look at
others
you, I
and
judge you. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know who you are. I just look at you and say you're a bad person.
Yes.
That is not correct, actually.
But these people actually have the fear of God. The different factions we have in Christianity, that a certain faction in Christianity does not believe that the other faction believes in the same God. See, so
Sure.
this can be shown by the same story of Isaac, Rebekah, and Abimelech, whereby Abimelech was God-fearing.
Yeah.
But Isaac did not think that the people had the fear
That
of the
aspect
Lord
of
in
fear
them.
God.
Yes.
Wow.
So it shows that people should not actually judge.
That is something else we can say. And now we can see before there, we can see now Isaac meeting God in that land where he went to Berahoi. Yeah, he went to meet God. And wow, I believe God was with this man, because I see God telling this man, it was in the land of famine.
Yes.
And then now God is telling this man, do not leave this place. Very many people maybe will leave, but I tell you, sojourn in this land for a while.
He told him not to go to Egypt.
Yeah. And can you imagine, you're in a famine, you have nothing, and then God is now assuring us that everything shall be well. So he was told, do not live in this place. I can see now Isaac meeting God, and now God's talking to him, and the wonderful blessings, the wonderful things God is telling them. So the aspect of now believing and having faith in God, even for the unseen, because God was telling Isaac, I will bless you even in this famine. I will bless you in the land of famine. Whereby we can see in the book of now that Genesis chapter 26, from there verse 26, 29, the Bible says that God blessed Isaac in the land of famine. He planted and he sowed. He reaped 100-fold because the Lord was with him. Like, who does that in a famine land? It is only God to hold your hand.
And this also shows the greatness of Egypt. That during the time of Abraham, when there was a famine, they went to Egypt. During later on the time of Jacob, when there was a famine, they went to buy grain in Egypt. So this shows that Egypt was well equipped even during that time. Yes. And this also shows the superiority of a nation, whereby Isaac is reaping 100-fold in a nation that is dry.
Dry land, famine. Actually, I just wonder.
Yes, that this shows the superiority that in this area they must have had good technology. When we talk about God, God works in natural ways. God works in natural ways. Meaning, whatever method that Isaac was using to get 100-fold was something that could be seen scientifically, whether it's manure, whether it's fertilizer, whether it's irrigation.
It can be seen.
The Lord uses nature. Yes, because when he wanted to finish people during the time of Noah, he sent a water, he sent a flood, right? It was natural. And maybe some people would have looked at it and said, no, it's not the Lord. Maybe it's just a natural occurrence.
Natural event.
So the Lord uses nature.
Natural.
Yes. So this shows a superiority in the technology that was being used by Isaac, so that he could get 100-fold. It shows the superiority of the grain he was using, because this was a grain that could actually produce very well. So it's a superiority in the grain.
The nature of the grain itself.
And the land is dry.
I mean, it is something magical, miracle,
Yeah.
or what do you call it?
We have nations that are very dry but are very, very prosperous. Look at nations like the Middle East. We have fruits that come from that area.
Dry
Citrus.
areas.
Yes,
That is the
citrus.
hand of the Lord with them.
And they are transported to areas where we have rain. So this shows the superiority.
Of God.
Yes.
The last part is the part that blesses me so much, because it says that because the Lord was with him. So
Yes.
it is unless now we walk with God, we get such kind, or people look at your life and they wonder, wow, is that billionaire Derito? And then they say, wow, the Lord must have been with this guy.
Yeah, the Lord was walking hand in hand with Isaac.
Wow.
And
That's very
Isaac
cool.
meets God
Mm-hmm.
a second time.
Now the second time.
Yes,
Mhm.
and this shows something very close between God and these people. When we talk about Abraham, God met with Abraham very many times. When Adam was alive, they were walking with God in the Garden of Eden.
Talking with God.
Yes, and they were walking with him.
With God.
Yes.
Wow.
And the roles whereby
Wow.
Adam is told to name
Uh-huh.
the animals, it was being told by God directly.
Now, like me, you,
Yes.
Adam, name these
people are
animals.
talking. When
Wow.
we look at Isaac,
Mhm.
Isaac is talking to God very many times, and the two of them are meeting. And this is the second time that we are seeing the Lord coming to
Now
teach
God
Isaac.
coming to bless this man.
Yes.
And he's telling me, you will increase, your descendants will increase, everything that you have will increase. Like God is so wonderful.
And also he says that you will get the blessing of your father Abraham.
Oh, wow.
And this shows the importance of the parents being close to God. When we look at a character like David, David, his heart was after the heart of God. And Solomon is told that I will not separate your nation because of the blessing of your father David.
Wow.
The blessings of the father to
Wow.
the child.
So sometimes as parents, maybe we tend to do things that we may not enjoy the fruits.
Yes.
But our children will now be saying, wow, thank you
Yes.
to my papa, thank you to my mommy, thank you,
Yes.
because maybe they did something that the hand of God is still flowing in my life.
Because this sacrifice is being blessed to Isaac. But who was the originator?
It was Abraham.
It was Abraham, the father. The gift was the gift of his father,
Wow.
Abraham. And that is why we call ourselves children of
Children
Abraham.
of Abraham.
Yes,
Wow.
so that we can inherit.
Those gifts. We are the descendants actually of Abraham.
Yes.
So as to inherit that land of wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And
That's
then
amazing.
we had Isaac. When he was old, he lost his sight.
Oh, the eyes became
And
weak.
the eyes were weak.
Oh.
And here we see the love of the parents to the children. When we were beginning the story of Isaac, we could see that Rebekah loved Jacob and Isaac loved Esau. And here the same story is being repeated, whereby Rebekah is favoring Jacob.
Wow.
And he overhears when Isaac wants to bless Esau, and he tells Jacob, go and take a lamb, slaughter it. I'm going to cook it for
Very
you.
nice for you.
Yes. Then cover your skin with the lamb's
I mean,
skin. Yes. And your neck with the
Cover it
lamb's
also
skin.
with skin,
Yes. Then take this meal to your father Isaac. And Isaac is given this meal, and Isaac says, the voice is Jacob's. This is Jacob's voice.
This
yes.
must be Jacob.
But the skin,
The smell, the
skin feels as the skin of Esau.
Wow.
But then Jacob had worn the clothes of Esau. So when the father smelled the son, he got the smell of Esau.
Wow.
And he blessed Jacob. And he told him that your sibling is going to serve you.
Wow. I think this goes hand in hand with whatever was said in the... You remember whatever was said in the womb? Yes. When they were still in the womb.
Yes.
I think this blessing has something to do with that.
The lesser will be served by the greater.
Oh.
So the lesser, who is Jacob, will be served by Esau. But then it also brings a kind of folly that was done by Esau, whereby Esau was hungry, and when he came from hunting, he had not gotten anything, and he found that Jacob was preparing some stew. Yes, and he told him, "Give me some stew." But then Jacob was wise, and he told me,
"You'll give me my birthright."
Yeah, sell me your birthright for the stew. But then Esau despised his birthright. He did not see it as a big deal. And this can also be seen by the children of Israel, whereby when Jesus came, the birthright belonged to Israel, because Israel had been chosen by the Lord. It was the Lord's chosen nation. Yes, it was the Lord's chosen nation.
Wow.
But then they despised their birthright. And this is whereby they do not accept Jesus as the Messiah. And Jesus says that it has now been given to the Gentiles. And here we see the disciples now going out to spread the gospel to the Gentiles, and now the Gentiles become heirs, of the kingdom.
They embraced the gospel in such a manner. It looked as if it was they were the sole heir.
In fact, they say that they own that it is our God. Yes, it is our God. It is our blessings. In fact, we say we are children of Abraham. And Abraham is a Jew. We are not Jews. We say we are children of Abraham. That we have now taken this birthright through Jesus. The same way Esau despised his birthright and he sold it for stew to
he just despised his birthright for the lentil stew.
The same way we find some Christians, they are selling this birthright. They don't see it as a big deal. And at the end of the day, they lose their soul, including the people who go to worship the devil so that they can get riches. They are selling their birthright, their God-given right to inherit the kingdom of heaven. They sell it over some few years. In fact, they are given the length of time they would serve on this earth, and then they die. So these people, they sell their birthright. They sell their right to inherit the kingdom of God.
Knowingly or even maybe unknowingly.
Yes.
Someone is just transactions, things are just happening. You wonder, what is happening in my life? And already you've sold your birthright.
Yes.
Well,
and here we see Isaac blessing Jacob a second time. The first time is whereby Jacob steals the blessing. By the help of his mother Rebekah. The second time, yes, the second time, Jacob.
This is now genuine. This is now genuine. Now my son come. I
Jacob
must bless you
goes
now,
to
genuine.
Esau, to Isaac, and Isaac tells him, "I bless you. Go to Laban. Go to Laban and stay there, because Esau wanted to kill Jacob." Yes, and actually he had said this, that the days of my father are close. So he was waiting for the father to die, Isaac to die, so that he could kill Jacob. He could not kill Jacob when Isaac was still alive. Yes, and Isaac now runs. Jacob is now sent away. This verse is very, very interesting because at first it was Rebekah who had sent Jacob to Laban. But then we see the same story being repeated, and it is now Isaac
who is sending
Jacob to Laban. So this shows that this was not a story that was told in a single day, because it was not just a single day that Jacob rose and left. He had to plan his journey. Yes, and this is whereby we are seeing that he is being blessed. And now Jacob goes to Laban, where he lives for many years. He labors for the first wife, for the second wife, and for the property. Yeah, so these are many years that
very
Jacob spends there. But then he decides to come back. And when he comes back, he finds his father alive.
Wow.
So even after all this time, whereby Jacob goes to Laban's place, his father is alive. We are not told about the mother. We are not told about Rebekah. We are not told what happened to Rebekah. After that, in Genesis, it is not spoken what happened about to Rebekah.
Nothing.
Yes, but it is said that when Jacob came back, he found his father still living. Yes, and they were able to maybe celebrate together. And at this time, we could see Esau going and embracing Jacob. So they are joined.
I think the aspect of now deciding to maybe go back to where you came from, and we can see Jacob now coming, and now I think he came with gifts.
He came with gifts, but he also found that Esau was a rich man.
Very rich. Extremely rich man.
He was rich.
Very rich.
Yes. Jacob might have ran and thought that maybe Esau would have been lower there because he had no blessing. But then the blessing of the Lord was with
still Esau.
And that is why he was also a rich man. And this can be seen whereby it is said that the land could not support both of them. The land could not support Esau and Jacob.
One had to leave.
And this had been seen before, whereby Lot and Abraham, the land could not support them, and they separated. Whereby Abraham went to live at the trees of Mamre, and Lot went to Sodom. Yes. So this can also be seen whereby Esau and Jacob are separated. They were rich.
Very rich. Very rich.
Yes.
Very rich.
The land could not support them.
It couldn't hold them.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And after this, we see Isaac now dying.
Now is resting.
Yes, he rests at 180 years.
Wow.
He was very old.
Wow. Something else I've noted. Isaac got to Rebekah at 40 years.
Yes.
But then you can see that Isaac bore these children at the age of
60. So he had lived almost 20 years.
There is still hope in the Lord.
But then there are scholars who talk about the way the years were being counted back then and the way the years are being counted now. Because someone was asking, a scholar was researching and he said, Abraham lived to 950 years. But today, people live to 120 years. And they say that this difference can be seen in the way they used to count the years. The way they used to count the years. But also, we need to understand that during Noah's time, a curse was placed, whereby the age was reduced to 120 years.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Even though we try to talk about the counting, the way the days are being counted, we should also respect that there is a curse that was placed, which reduced this timeline to 120 years.
Wow.
Yes.
That's something to do now with Isaac. What I was talking, maybe there is still hope. I mean, for 20 years, these guys didn't have even a child. Isaac is still there with Rebekah, her wife. They didn't have a child for 20 good years. I think God is a God of everything. Yeah. And anytime is yes, he says yes. I think now, after all that, having the story of Isaac, you can see now him resting.
Yes. And he died a very old man. He was the oldest
of the three patriarchs.
Of the three. Yes. In fact, he was older than Abraham.
Yeah, sure.
And he was also older than Jacob. Yes. He lived to 180 years.
Yes. Wow.
This has been the story of Isaac. Isaac, a man who walked with God, a man who loved the Lord, a man who walked by God's side, and a man we look at today, and we talk about the Abrahamic covenant and the promises that the Lord had made. I have been your host, Billionaire Anderito, together with
Geoffrey Gishohe. Yeah, very good.
Join us next time as we go on to learn more about the Bible. Look at our pages, TikTok at Billionaire Anderito, Facebook at Billionaire Anderito, YouTube at Billionaire Anderito. You can also send us an email, billionaireanderito@gmail.com.